While blocking aid for small businesses, Nancy Pelosi had a let them eat cake moment by instead showing off her luxury freezer stocked with high-end ice cream. President Trump announced his plan to reopen the economy, and what is going on with Democrat Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer. All that and more. I'm Bobby Eberle. This is a 13-minute news hour.
God bless the United States of America.
All right, friends, welcome to the show. Happy Friday. We've got a lot to cover. Let's jump right in with Nancy Pelosi. She is, I've talked about this, and especially over the last year, she has shown herself to be absolutely clueless politically. It's one misstep after another. She's overplayed her hand with Mueller. She did it with Ukraine. She did it with impeachment. She did it with her impeachment delay, then ripping up the State of the Union address. Now she's doing it with the coronavirus, the legislation, the politics involved. She doesn't seem to understand what's going on. And this week was a perfect example. As small businesses have depleted their emergency funds to keep employees on the payroll, she instead shows off her luxury freezer stocked with gourmet ice cream. She appeared on The Late Late Show with James Corden, and here's what she said.
Speaker Pelosi, what have you found? What are you going to share with us from your home?
Chocolate.
Really?
Chocolate candy.
Oh, wow.
And this is something you can get through the mail.
So I guess she's implying that she's following social distancing while still showing us all how out of touch she is. And then she shows us the ice cream.
This is the episode of Cribs I never knew I needed. Oh, my. Wow.
Other people in our family go for some other flavors, but chocolate, and then we have some other chocolate here.
So I looked this up. A pint of Bluebell at Walmart, I'm from Texas, I love Bluebell, goes for about $3 a pint, depending on the flavor. This stuff, $12 a pint, 4 times more, and she's showing it off in front of her $24,000 refrigerator. So Steve Guest, the GOP Rapid Response Director, tweeted this out following Nancy Pelosi's let them eat cake moment. While Nancy Pelosi sits in her ivory tower in San Francisco eating $13 a pint ice cream out of her $24,000 fridge, she's cheering on Democrats for blocking coronavirus relief aid that has so far been distributed to 1.3 million small businesses that is about to run out. So actor James Woods, he got on Twitter as well, and he put this out. He said, her 2 refrigerators together cost $24,000 for her specialty chocolate ice creams, but she hates the small business owners of America. Let them eat cake. And what about clueless Joe Biden? He jumped on Twitter as well, and he put out, you have great taste, Speaker Pelosi. Give me a break. So here's the deal. While this is going on, there's major issues in Washington. The aid to small businesses, that fund has been depleted. This is the fund that small businesses could use to pay employees, and she won't approve the legislation. She is blocking the legislation, and here's the report. Republicans in the Trump administration want Democrats to pass a quick one-page, $250 billion infusion of cash to the program that gives struggling businesses up to $10 million in forgivable loans to make their payrolls. The GOP effort already failed in the Senate last week as Pelosi and Senate Democrat leader Chuck Schumer have demanded an additional $250 million that would help hospitals and state and local governments and contain changes to the small business relief program to help disadvantaged and minority-owned businesses. Pelosi signals Thursday the battle lines still stand. Democrats want to help small businesses, but also don't want to pass over the self-evident needs of hospitals and state governments whose requests are urgent now. So addressing this failure by Pelosi, House GOP Leader Kevin McCarthy tweeted, apparently, the Speaker of the House thinks it's more important to showcase her freezer full of gourmet ice cream than to fund paychecks for millions of Americans who are at risk of losing their jobs. So McCarthy laid out this Paycheck Protection Program. This is what needs to be refunded when he made comments yesterday on Fox News. And here's that report.
Democrats are denying the ability for small businesses to get their loans from the SBA to pay their employees. We've got the speaker being on late night TV, more important showcasing her gourmet ice cream than securing the funding. We now ran out of money, $350 billion. More than 1.6 million small businesses out of 5,000 banks got this loan.
So the program's out of money, and these loans, something to keep in mind, these loans to small businesses, when they are used to fund employees, to pay their employees paychecks, that turns into a grant rather than a loan. And here's more from McCarthy.
And now we're in jeopardy of all the other loans that are in there because we requested last week to move it, a one-page bill, just provide another $250 billion, which would allow small business to keep paying for their employees. That becomes a grant. But Speaker Pelosi and Chuck Schumer said no.
So it's all about priorities. The Democrats would rather score political points than actually do what's right. They've politicized this over and over again when we're supposed to be coming together with this corona relief rescue packages, aid bills, help for small businesses, help for employees. I mean, it's another 5.5 million people filed unemployment claims that last week. That means over a 4-week span, there's 22 million people that have filed unemployment claims. All right. They need help. Pelosi and Schumer are blocking it, and they just do not have a clue about the politics that's involved. We need to be coming together right now and not blocking aid that can go to small businesses and employees. So next I want to talk about President Trump, because he announced a plan yesterday to get the economy going again. And this is a long time coming. Some of us have said that this approach was not the right approach from the beginning, that we did not need to close this down. But leaders are there to make decisions. And so once a decision is made, then the next logical step is, okay, how do we start to reopen things? How do we get things going? And that is what the president talked about yesterday in his press conference. And here's President Trump.
As I have said for some time now, a national shutdown is not a sustainable long-term solution. To preserve the health of our citizens, we must also preserve the health and functioning of our economy. Over the long haul, you can't do one without the other. Cannot be done.
So the president is right. The health of the people go hand in hand with the health of the economy. In addition, the health of a person as related to getting coronavirus or getting sick also goes hand in hand with the health of the person due to social distancing and isolation and unemployment. Those things need to be addressed, and that's why we need to get this economy going. And here's more from the president.
Our approach outlines 3 phases in restoring our economic life. We are not opening all at once, but one careful step at a time. And some states will be able to open up sooner than others. Some states are not in the kind of trouble that others are in.
All right, so it's a 3-phased approach, and I just want to go over it really quickly with you so you can see how things will be going over the next month or so. So first of all, it's based on this turning the corner on coronavirus. And I want to just put up these charts for you. Here's a pic of influenza-like illnesses, which includes COVID-19 for the week ending March 28th. Lots of hot spots, all right? Now you see there's lots with high and very high levels. Then there's the week ending April 4th. You see things looking better. And then you go to week ending April 11th, last week, and things are looking pretty good. We've turned the corner. So because of that, now we can move to this reopening strategy, and it's based on these 14-day windows, this gating criteria that whatever region you're looking at, whether it's a state, whether it's a county, whether it's a region, the recommendations are for 14 days, you should be kind of in the clear and be prepared. And here's a look at that criteria. All right, so this is the gating criteria, and basically a state or a region needs to see declining symptoms in influenza-like illnesses and COVID-19 for 14 days, also a 14-day decline in actual cases or positive tests. And then on the hospital side, they need to be able to treat all patients without crisis and have testing in place, including antibody testing. So that's the criteria. So you meet that for 14 days, you move to phase 1, where you see things like individuals are recommended, the vulnerable still continue to shelter in place. you'll maintain social distancing, gatherings can be 10 or fewer, and you keep non-essential travel to a minimum. That's the individual side. Then on the business side, you see things like consider accommodating vulnerable populations, encourage telework, return to work in phases, minimize non-essential travel. All right, so during phase one, still don't want to visit senior living facilities, hospitals, things like that. You want to test for antibodies. You can open up restaurants but maintain social distancing. And then from there, phase two is more. Phase three is more. Gatherings are allowed, stadiums, larger venues, you can get people there. Phase two introduces groups of 50, and then after that, groups go on. So what's interesting, though, is some of this criteria is protecting the vulnerable, getting others back to work, doing antibody testing, opening up restaurants by still maintaining social distancing, and then just expanding as you go. Kind of sounds like the plan I talked about last week, but it's cool that they're implementing it now. And depending on your state, depending on how hotspot it is, you can get things going very, very soon, and it'll be a good thing to see. So next, I want to talk about Gretchen Whitmer. What is going on in Michigan? It is so crazy. There is policies, the shutdown orders, the shelter-in-place orders are just absolutely going crazy. She's getting criticized left and right because none of the policies make sense, and it shows that this Democrat governor is just out of control with some of the mandates that are going on. And here's a report. The new stay-at-home order, which takes effect on April 9th and runs through April 30th, it takes the place of the previous order and bars non-essential businesses and travel outside the home. Grocery stores and other retailers that sell food, medicine, and other essentials are allowed to remain open during the stay-at-home order, although they'll now be subject to additional occupancy restrictions and be required to shut down non-essential areas of the store, including sections dedicated to carpeting, flooring, furniture, garden centers, plant nurseries, or paint. If you're not buying food or medicine or other essential items, you should not be going to the store, Whitmer said of her decisions during a press conference. So what's going on? There was a great op-ed in the Washington Examiner that dives into this even more, and here's that report. Whitmer's new restrictions are arbitrary and confusing and thus wantonly applied. Stores are being ordered to close areas of the store that are dedicated to carpeting, flooring, furniture, garden centers, plant nurseries, or paint, the order states. A friend of mine went to test this out, first at Lowe's, then at Walmart. At Lowe's, he was prevented from buying a can of paint, but he was allowed to purchase caulk. At Walmart, he was not allowed to buy a couch, but he could buy a brand new flat screen TV. At both stores, home gardening supplies were completely off limits. So how crazy is that? All right, the health, like I've said, the health of the person depends on a number of factors, and it's not just getting a virus. These things, planting, gardening, working around the house, maybe doing a home project in your garage, all of those help the health of a person who's forced to be in isolation. So banning those makes absolutely no sense for society in general. Then, just the other day, she talks about abortion restrictions and actually said that while other things are shut down, like elective procedures, other elective procedures are shut down, that abortions are okay because they are life-sustaining. Think about that. Here's that report. Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, a Democrat, discussed abortion in times of the coronavirus pandemic during David Axelrod's Axe Files podcast posted Thursday. Whitmer, who has drawn criticism for the coronavirus restrictions she's implemented, noted that while Michigan has put a hold on performing all elective surgeries, abortions can still be performed in the state and are considered essential. A woman's health care, her whole future, her ability to decide if and when she starts a family is not an election. It is fundamental to her life. It is life-sustaining, and it's something the government should not be getting in the middle of. Life-sustaining? These are procedures of convenience in 95 to 97% of the time. It's not life-sustaining. It's life-ending. So I don't know what's going on, but it just shows what happens in these states when government gets too much power, and we're seeing it more and more in states run by Democrats. So next, I want to talk about Gretchen Whitmer actually leads into a perfect Friday. she's a perfect segue to our Friday section of Do You Have a Relaxed Brain?
I got what you call, like, I don't know, a relaxed brain.
All right, first we have Democrat Stacey Abrams, who ran for governor in Georgia, and she's lost. She's been complaining ever since, starting with right after the election, where she lost by tens of thousands of votes and still claimed that she won. So she did an interview with Elle magazine recently, and she had some quotes that were just bizarre. Here's one of them. I may not have won the office, but what I was able to earn for the causes I serve has been extraordinary and beyond anything I could have imagined. Apparently, I'm a really good loser. Wow, that's reassuring. This is someone that's trying to make the pitch to be Joe Biden's running mate, and she says, pick me, I'm a good loser. That's a quality campaign to run on right there. And then finally, I have Dan Rather, all right? There's been all this talk about the Democrats pushing in for mail-in voting, and the counter to that from conservatives, and President Trump has been pushing this, is voter ID. We want voter ID. So Dan Rather got on Twitter, and he tweeted this response. Let me translate for you. Widespread voter fraud really means those kinds of people voting. So in response to the president talking about voter fraud, Dan Rather made it racial. He made this a racial thing. Folks can get an ID. They need an ID to buy almost anything, to identify themselves almost everywhere. But Dan Rather in the left makes it about race. Typical, typical, typical. Folks, that's our show for today. Please subscribe. And when you do, please hit that bell so you'll be notified. And we'll see you next time. Tomorrow, we are doing our Saturday live stream. We did it at 10 o'clock last time. We're doing it at 11 o'clock Central Daylight Time. So it gives the West Coast a little chance to get up. Tune in tomorrow for the Saturday live stream, and we'll see you next time. I'm Bobby Eberly. This is a 13-minute news hour. Okay, friends, thanks so much for watching. And before you go, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you'll be notified. And here's a special video just for you so you can watch even more of the 13-minute news hour. And don't forget to check out GOPUSA.com for the best in conservative news and commentary. We'll see you next time.